The Filipino sensation Alex Eala suddenly spotted an unexpected face in the courtside seats during her highly anticipated doubles match with Venus Williams at the Canadian Open. As the 21-year-old rising star walked onto center court in Toronto, her eyes locked onto a figure that made her heart stop. Former Bank of Canada and Bank of England Governor Mark Carney sitting just feet away from the action. Why would one of the most powerful financial minds in global history be watching a WTA doubles match? What connection does the man who once steered two G7 economies through crisis have with the Philippines' greatest tennis export? The speculation is already running wild across social media, with fans demanding answers about this mysterious courtside appearance. And what nobody knows yet is that this chance encounter might change everything for Alex Eala's career trajectory in ways no one could have predicted. The lights of Sobeys Stadium blazed down on center court as Alex Eala stepped onto the hard courts of Toronto for what was supposed to be just another doubles match. But as the 21-year-old Filipina sensation scanned the packed arena of 10,000 roaring fans, her eyes suddenly froze on a face that seemed completely out of place among the tennis crowd. There, sitting in the premium courtside seats with an unreadable expression, was Mark Carney, the man who had once held the fate of two G7 economies in his hands. The former governor of the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England, a figure synonymous with global financial policy and economic crisis management, was watching her warm up with the intensity of a coach scouting talent. Eala's doubles partner, the legendary Venus Williams, noticed the sudden change in her young partner's demeanor. "You okay?" the 46-year-old tennis icon asked. But Eala could barely form words. Her mind was racing with questions. Why was he here? What could the man who advised world leaders and shaped monetary policy possibly want with a tennis player from the Philippines? The match against Miyu Kato and Lyudmila Samsonova was about to begin, but Eala's focus had been shattered by this unexpected courtside appearance. Mark Carney has never been known as a tennis enthusiast. The 61-year-old economist and banker has spent his career in the rarefied air of central banking, first as governor of the Bank of Canada from 2008 to 2013, navigating the country through the global financial crisis, and then as governor of the Bank of England from 2013 to 2020, steering Britain through Brexit and the pandemic. His name is synonymous with financial stability, monetary policy, and the kind of high-stakes decision-making that affects billions of lives. So why was he sitting courtside at a WTA 1000 tournament in Toronto, watching a 21-year-old Filipina tennis player with the intensity of a hawk? Speculation erupted immediately across social media platforms. Some fans theorized that Carney, who has maintained strong ties to Canada despite his global career, was simply enjoying a local sporting event. Others whispered of something far more intriguing, that the former central banker had taken a personal interest in Eala's meteoric rise. After all, Eala had just become the first Filipino to win a WTA 500 singles title, and her global profile was exploding. Could Carney be scouting her for some kind of endorsement or investment opportunity? The mystery deepened with every passing moment. As the first serve of the match was struck, Alex Eala found herself caught between two worlds. On one side of the net stood her opponents, the experienced duo of Miyu Kato and Lyudmila Samsonova, who would ultimately prove too strong, winning the match 6-4, 6-3 in just over an hour. On the other side sat Mark Carney, his presence weighing on Eala's mind like an invisible force. The Filipina star, who had just achieved a career-high ranking of world number 20, struggled to maintain her composure. Venus Williams, ever the professional, tried to keep her young partner focused. "Alex is a world star," Venus would later say in the post-match press conference. "She's just incredible. Besides the fact of her tennis, she's an incredible person, well-spoken, and just an impressive young lady." But even Venus couldn't shield Eala from the distraction of Carney's unwavering gaze. Every time Eala looked up from the baseline, there he was, the man who had once managed the finances of the United Kingdom and Canada, watching her every move with an intensity that felt almost predatory. The match ended in defeat, but the real story was just beginning. As Alex Eala and Venus Williams walked off the court after their straight sets loss, the whispers began. Who was the distinguished-looking man in the courtside seats? And why had he remained in his seat long after the match ended, his eyes fixed on the Filipina star as she gathered her equipment? The tennis world's rumor mill went into overdrive. Some speculated that Carney, who has extensive connections in the world of international finance and philanthropy, might be considering Eala for a major endorsement deal that would transcend the traditional boundaries of sports marketing. Others suggested something far more intriguing, that the former central banker saw in Eala the same kind of strategic brilliance and composure under pressure that had defined his own career. "The fact that I got to play doubles with Venus is like an amazing highlight to my career," Eala had said. But now, it seemed, another highlight was about to be added. As Eala prepared for her singles match against Caty McNally, she couldn't shake the feeling that Mark Carney's appearance was no coincidence. The question on everyone's lips was simple: what does Mark Carney want with Alex Eala? The truth, as it would eventually emerge, was far more extraordinary than anyone had imagined. Mark Carney, it turned out, had been following Alex Eala's career with great interest ever since her historic breakthrough into the WTA Top 30. The former central banker, known for his strategic thinking and global perspective, saw in the young Filipina something rare in an athlete with the same kind of poise, resilience, and ability to perform under pressure that had defined his own career at the highest levels of global finance. Sources close to Carney revealed that he had been quietly exploring opportunities to support the development of Philippine tennis, seeing in Eala a transformative figure who could inspire millions across Southeast Asia. "She's a world star," Venus Williams had said, and apparently Mark Carney agreed. The courtside appearance was no accident. It was a statement of intent from one of the world's most influential figures. For Alex Eala, the moment she spotted Mark Carney in those courtside seats marked the beginning of something far bigger than tennis. It was the moment the world's most powerful people started taking notice. And for a 21-year-old from the Philippines who had already made history, the future had never looked brighter. If you enjoyed this latest tennis update and want to stay ahead of the biggest stories in the world, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel right now. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment of the action. See you in the next video.